All right, go ahead.
You made any other decisions on guys who won't play?
Yeah, a couple guys. Trey Hopkins won't play. Joe Burrow won't play. Larry Ogunjobi won't play. Those are the guys that are really healthy and have been practicing on a regular basis. Then there's some other injured guys that are just day to day that we'll see how they feel come time to play. A couple DBs probably be out. Fred Johnson be out.
Could potential weather impact that at all?
You know, I came into this league coaching the Dolphins, and my motto is if it doesn't rain during a preseason game, did the preseason game really even happen? So that's all I've ever known. But obviously, it's something we're monitoring, the league's monitoring. But as of now, it seems like we're on schedule to keep going.
Is a player like Jamar Chase kind of one of the most important types of guys you can try to use the preseason for to develop?
Jamar is not the first guy that comes to mind. You know, a lot of guys in the trenches where the game's really different than in college. Those young guys. Jamar, oftentimes, it's a one-on-one battle out there on the perimeter. He gets a lot of good work against our guys in practice. Part of it for the rookies, like the skill guys, it's processing information. Now the coach isn't on the field. There's no script. We're in the middle of a game now, you know, and now you got to be able to line up where you're supposed to line up and do it. And I trust Jamar will be able to do that. He's done a good job recently. But it's good for all those rookies to have to process the information and manage themselves through these games.
Coach, how are you going to handle kickers? How are you going to handle kickers? You're going to have to who's going to start?
I won't get it. They'll both play. I'll just put it that way. They'll both play, and Darren Colt will manage how he wants to rotate those guys. We certainly do have a plan in place, but they'll both get equal opportunity in this game. I shouldn't say equal opportunity can change, of course, as the game goes, but the plan is for them to start that way.
Same idea with running backs. Obviously, huge preseason in that room with a lot of guys you want to see. How hard is that to plot out with the rotations?
We don't need to see much of Mixon and Samaje. That's basically how I'll put it. You know, those other guys will get a lot of opportunities over the course of the preseason. Joe and Samaje will play to start. It'll be very limited, and then we'll get them out, and then those other guys will get a chance to show what they're capable of.
Evans in particular, I mean, we've seen him make some great catches and moves out there. Is it about, for him, pass pro and actually showing some action, taking the ball? Is that kind of the biggest thing you want to see? Because you kind of now have seen the reception stuff.
All of them. Travion didn't get a preseason last year. He got limited reps during the season. You know, he got hurt in the first preseason, really against Kansas City, right out the gate. And then, you know, Patrick didn't get any chance last preseason show. So really for all those guys, pass protection. Because we see it against our defense. You know, they don't get a ton of opportunities, not necessarily all the time, but now you get a defense that is going to throw some different stuff at you, and you get a chance to see how they handle that. Really, so all three of those guys fit in the same category for me.
With Quentin Spain, with the way he's been playing, is he creating some separation at left guard?
You know, he's a veteran who does it the right way. He's got a lot of power in there at the guard spot. So, of course, there's a couple days there where we held him out for injury, but he started to work himself back in. And so he'll get the start there at left guard, but he's been doing some really good things for us.
Do you still view right guard as totally wide open at this point then?
Yeah, I do. You know, I think there's a lot of guys that are capable of doing it. X brings a lot of things to the table. Mike Jordan, Jackson Carman. You know, Deontay Smith has been working more at left guard, you know, and he's been showing some good things over there. So, again, yeah, and some of those young guys are getting better as well. So, yeah, I'd say, you know, really both those guard spots, nothing's set in stone yet. There's still, these preseason games are going to really matter for a lot of guys.
On Sunday, it sounded like you know, you were leaving the door open for Burrow to potentially play in the preseason. I know you guys have said you won't.
Yeah.
Has that plan kind of changed? Is there now an opportunity where he may play week 2 or week 3?
Yeah, I'm not ruling anything out for the further games. All I'm ready to speak on is week 1. Those are the decisions we made, and you know, it'll be a quick turnaround next week for Washington. So we'll make those decisions relatively early in the week. And then Miami, we got a lot more time before we play that third game. But right now, those are the only decisions I made for this first game.
How much do you – sorry, go ahead.
Well, that sounds to be like a little bit of a shift change from what we had said, what we heard from you and Mike, I think, at the media luncheon early on. What's kind of led to maybe a window for Joe to say, you guys, is there a comfort you've seen out here? Or?
I think it's just how I'm phrasing it. I don't know if there's been a shift change.
Coach, how long do you envision that first offensive line playing? And do you envision Brandon Allen playing like the full first half, or how do you see that?
That's about right. You know, you'd like to put together a good drive with your ones. And if you could do that, then get some other guys some work. Brandon will play a little bit longer than maybe some of the guys that come out first, just to get him some more game action. And then again, defense, you know, they're not going to be on the field very long. You know, it's a handful of snaps, or 2 handfuls of snaps, maybe I should say, And then you get a chance to watch a lot of the other. We got a lot of veteran guys on both sides of the ball that don't need to show us what they're capable of in the preseason. A lot of position battles that we really want to get to very quickly in these preseason games.
I would think the same thing on the offensive line, right? You get, I mean, well, I don't know if it is or not, but we do have a lot of competition for the first week.
Yeah, you do. You got a lot of internal competition and then not a lot of bodies on the outside. So some guys are going to get some really good work. Isaiah Prince and Gunnar Vogel, and those guys are going to get their fair share of reps. And hopefully Fred's back sooner rather than later and can start to work himself back in. And because he needs the work also.
You think he could play Saturday?
Fred?
Yeah.
No.
How much has
Could he? Possibly. We're not going to play him, though.
how much has your vision of the entirety of the preseason 1, 2, and 3 changed without that fourth game? Do you still view the third one as sort of like the old 4, or is that the old 3? Or
It's kind of like, no, it's really 1 and 2 is always the difficulty. What are we doing 1 and 2? How much are the starters playing? So it's really, to me, a little bit more, not completely, but 1 and 2 combined together. And then you got the second game, which is like the third game, maybe play the starters a little bit more. And then you got the third game. But again, with so much time now between preseason game 3 and regular season game 1, you have more time. It's not a quick turnaround where you need. So if we need a guy to get out there for a couple snaps, then there's potential there. So those are kind of the things you got to weigh. And again, we're going to have a lot of time to figure that out before we play Miami here in game 3.
Just theoretically.
Theoretically, I love this.
Theoretically, if you were going to play Burrow, would it be week 3?
It's not going to be week 1.
You're right.
I'm not that far yet. We're just through week 1.
What's Joe going to be doing on Saturday?
He'll get some good rehab work in with Nick Cosgray the day of the game. That's a good plan for him to be able to slot that time for that, and then just really on the sidelines. And if he's got a play suggestion, I'd love to hear it. I'm always open ears in these preseason games. So he'll be around pitch and just get a chance to help those younger guys as they get in the game as well.
What do you think of Jackson Carman's camp so far?
I think with all the rookies, there's ups and downs, and so all these guys, it's very different for them, especially in the trenches. He's played great competition in the past, but it's a whole new offense. It's a whole new level of competition once you get to this league, and we brought him here for reasons, and we've seen those reasons show up. And so, again, it can be difficult for some of these young linemen. It's a long training camp. We're not even, really a third of the way through whatever it is right now. So there's a long ways to go, and that's what we preach these guys is, hey, it hasn't been perfect for a lot of you, but there's plenty of time to get this thing right. You have no evidence on tape of what you look like as an NFL football player across the league right now. That starts on Saturday. And so you're going to get 3 opportunities to really show why you're in this league, how you fit on this team. That's not Jackson, that's everybody. And so I think that's encouraging because last year it was wham bam, we're playing the first game. We didn't have a lot of time for the rookies to do this stuff. Now you get a chance to really, that's what training camp's great. That's why these 3 games are critical for guys like Jackson to really get these opportunities to show that they're moving in the right direction.
Duke had talked with Lapham yesterday or maybe the day before and said that Jackson's kind of needing to work himself into peak physical condition as part of the situation with him. Is it possible? Is there enough time between now and where he's at in week 1 for him to be able to do that?
Sure, absolutely. There's certainly guys come in and you have them lose a couple pounds over the course of the summer. That's part of being a rookie is figuring it. T's talked about that a lot over last year. How do you come in, and he's not the only one. Coach Bose and those guys have a great plan in place. They're following that plan, making progress, not far from it, and from the ultimate goal. And so those guys have shown that they're willing to do the work.
With that guard spot where you want to look at multiple people, do you prefer like having a guy go in 2 or 3 series in a row and then he's out to the next guy, or would you rotate guys to kind of get more of a like comparison to see how it goes?
Yeah, you prefer not to let them play, pull them out, put them back in. You like to see if they're going to play X amount of snaps, which is kind of what we a lot, in our own meetings, let them play continuously. Now, there's always things that come up in these preseason games, as we've all seen, where that changes. But for the most part, hey, you're going to play. This is the chunk you're going to play continuously, and then you're out.
Do you think you're going to, would you flip your guards, or you just keep Mike right and stay in
For the game, you'd prefer, again, the plan is to keep them in one spot, but X amount of preseason games under my belt, I know how things can change.
I think while we were talking to Cam, Justin was doing an interview here, he's talking about contract situations, and he said, quote, I guess I haven't done enough yet to be considered one of the top safeties in the league, and quote, I think he said he's not going to talk about the contract situation anymore. Has that situation been a source of friction for him? Have you noticed a sense of, has that affected him at all?
He's been a total pro. He's having a great camp. Jesse embodies everything that we want the Bengals to be about. When we define a Bengal, Jesse Bates fits that description. Fortunately, I can stay out of that and just coach the football team. But again, Jesse, he's been practicing. He does a great job. He's got a tremendous attitude. Proud to coach Jesse.
When you're plotting out how long players will play, is it more snaps instead of series, considering it could be a 3 and out or a 10-play drive?
Yeah, both. I think to start the game, you can kind of peg snaps for a lot of guys, and then as the game goes on, we try to put it at quarters, maybe even. But again, I've been part of preseason games where you get 13 snaps in the first half on one side of the ball, and you get a ton in the second half. So things change. It's not set in stone. It's just more of a guideline for us to follow and all be on the same page going into the game as a coaching staff.
On these road trips, everything's structured. You're doing this at this time, this at this time. If the league does move up the game, how difficult would that be?
I don't think it would be very difficult. If it did move up earlier on Saturday, it would eliminate maybe some meetings we had planned on having that morning, but it wouldn't throw us off base. We'd be able to adapt to that very quickly. You're used to playing at 1 o'clock anyway, so your day before schedule is the same. That doesn't get altered. Okay, great. Thank you all.
Thank you.